Recommendations is obviously a powerful tool, but one of the hardest bits is getting those wonderful names out of people's heads. It's almost like they're deliberately forgetting. And that is the subject of part 2. Now, there are 2 quite separate components to this. The first one is called RISE, and the R stands for respect. It's a strange thing to have there, but it is a reminder to you that you need to respect this as a process. You will get success at this stage if you have preempted the fact that you're going to ask all the way through your sales process. If you get to this bit now and you say, now, don't forget, this is the bit we talked about, then you'll have a great chance of success. But if you haven't and you just spring it on someone when they're not expecting it, then you've got a problem. So R is make sure that you respect that this is a process. The I is that you've got to get their interest back. There is every chance as they get to the end of an appointment that they're starting to pack up their mental briefcase and get ready to go to the next thing. So let's have a look at how this might work. It's very, very simple. You just ask them to do it. And we'll demonstrate that in a moment. Every once in a while, they will be too busy to do it now. So we show you what you do there as well. So let's see how that actually tends to pan out. Okay? Well, that's it. We're pretty much done today.
Great.
Now, before we actually pack up completely, there is one more thing I'd like to do. Have you got 5 minutes right now?
Actually, I've got something else I've got to go and do. Can we do it some other time?
Look, I've got a follow-up. I'll be back in a few days. Would it be okay if we did it then?
Yeah, sure.
So usually when you ask, they'll say, look, that's fine. But occasionally there will be something else that's pressing, something else that needs to be done. In which case, just arrange to do it later. Park it, come back to it. Especially in business, people have a full diary, and when they finish with you, they need to move on. So what you've seen there is just getting them to stop, pause, and open the mental briefcase again. If you don't have their attention, the process won't flow properly. And so we have their interest back. They now have their brain switched on, ready to work for us. From there, we have the S, which stands for significance. We have to make sure that what we've done is significant in their mind. Now, to some degree, you can achieve this all the way through your sales process by letting them know that this was a bit difficult, that you put extra work in there. We nearly didn't get that through, but we managed to. And check in with them at the end. How do you feel about that? Was it good? Yes. Did you enjoy the experience? Absolutely. Are you happy with us as the person working on your behalf here? Oh, yes. I remember you telling me how relieved you were when we got that done. It pays to remind your client. And then finally, the last E is enroll. We have to get them to willingly take part in what we're doing. Now, the way we found a lot of success with this is that we explain to them how we're going to get inside their mind and pull out those names. Because most people sit there going, oh, I don't know that I know anybody that needs you. I'm not sure. I've never thought of anybody that needs you. And so we roll them through this very, very simple process. Watch and see. Look, thank you for agreeing to look at recommendations. But what often happens when we say to people, oh, do you know anybody that needs insurance? Do you know anybody that needs mortgages? Do you know, their mind just goes blank because you just don't, you don't sit there on a Friday night chatting to people, oh, who do you know? So what we find is that we just ask 3 or 4 questions, and it's amazing how the mind pops up, and in no time at all, people are finding 3 or 4 names.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't mind, can we try that?
Sure.
Okay, it's just 3 or 4 questions.
No problem.
Okay. And so that is how you can enroll them very successfully. Did you notice how in that conversation, that very good looking actor said, oh, it's amazing how people come up with 3 or 4 names once they get going. That's called setting an expectation. That's letting the client know that 3 or 4 is normal. And at a very subconscious level, they're now aware of that. And it makes them just try that little bit harder. So that's our RISE process. From there, we now have to pull those wonderful names out. We have to realize that The brain is an amazing tool when it comes to holding information. It actually remembers just about everything that's ever happened in your life. Sadly, it's a third-rate tool when it comes to pulling it back out again. So when you say to someone, hey, who do you know that needs? They've never thought of that before. They haven't sat there on a Friday night with a friend over a beer and gone, hey, how's your life insurance? Hey, how's your mortgage? Hey, how's any of that? So we have to build frames. We have to find a way of getting inside the filing cabinet of the mind, opening up the right drawer, finding the right hanging file, opening that up and getting just the right information. If we can do that, then the names start to flow, and they flow freely. So, let's have a little look how that might be. You mentioned before that you were part of the golf club.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Just thinking of the golf club,
Yeah.
always near the front door, there are those parking spaces reserved for the people that have been elected to do the various things and those sort of things.
Yes.
Now, just thinking of those folks, some of them, possibly the ones with the nicer cars, they'll own their own businesses. They'll be successful in some way, maybe they're a senior manager. And some of them might well actually have something to do with property. If you think about it, there'll be a few there that you know have a property or two.
Yeah.
Now, thinking just of those people, what would be the first name that popped into your mind there?
Probably Dave Smith.
Dave Smith?
Mm.
Great. You maybe have more than one name. I don't know. If there was another person you were thinking of, who would that be?
Oh yeah. Well, there's Steve Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, also within the golf club, I mean, there's those people that run it, and we respect those. But then there's also those people we really prefer to play golf with.
Yeah.
So if you were picking 8 or 9 people to sort of say let's work out some triples and some quads, there'd be those people that you'd really enjoy working with.
Yeah.
Now, some of those people are going through some changes. I mean, there's always things happening. There's people buying houses, there are people getting married, there are people having kids, there are people changing jobs. Just thinking within those 8 or 9 people that you prefer, sort of people you have home for a barbecue,
Yeah.
who would be the most likely there to be in the middle of a change now, or maybe you even know that they're doing something?
Yeah. Andy's moving house. I think Tim's got a job change coming up.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So what you see there is that we've actually managed to create 2 completely different opportunities out of just one frame. We just changed it. One was about the people that were running the golf club, and then we moved it slightly to who the friends might be, and we found another area. You'll also notice, if you were watching the body language, that we were hitting the right notes with opening the files, because there was thought going on there. That eyes going here, don't worry about whether they were up, down, left or right. The fact is, the brain was ticking over and the filing cabinet drawers were being opened. That was a name you thought of. Was there perhaps another one? Why stop on one? So we got 3 or 4 names there. And maybe you'll get 3 or 4 names, maybe you'll strike a blank. But we're also going to show you how you can present several frames. If you do that, it's a great way of opening up those opportunities. Now you'll notice we did not ask, oh, tell me about Dave Smith straight away. When you get names from people, it's like pushing a really rather large rock up a hill. You get it to the top, it rolls down the other. Don't run around the other side and stop it. Let it roll. Otherwise, you've got to push it back up the top of the hill and back down the other side. When the names flow, let them flow freely. By doing that, you get 3 or 4 names, then you go back and you say, so why did you think of Dave Smith when I said that? Was there a particular reason? And you might get reasons like, look, it was just a name, no particular reason. Or you might pick up the clues you need that are valuable when you then ring that person, because you will know why they may want to use you. And that makes the whole process much simpler. So that's how you get many, many recommendations. But what happens if the frame doesn't work? Do you remember when we asked if they would be part of this process, we said we would ask 3 or 4 questions. Frame 1 was only question 1. We've got another few questions to ask yet. Switch to a new frame, try again. We've mapped this process over many years, and we know that for every 100 people you sit down and talk to like this, you get 105 recommendations. It really works. All you've got to do is practice it and give it a try.